All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane after Orlando Pirates 4, Hungry Lions FC 0. And the narrative that everyone is going to try to sell to you, everyone outside of Orlando Pirates is going to try and sell to you after this one, is that Hungry Lions is a lower division side. So, of course, Orlando Pirates were going to win 4-0. And the other narrative that they're going to try and sell to you is that, oh, they had a red card. Of course, Orlando Pirates were going to score 3 goals. And I'm just sitting here today to tell you, don't buy it. Don't buy that narrative that everyone is trying to sell to you. These games, you and I know this. You and I watch football and have watched football for so many years. And we know that these games are not given. These games against lower division side, I guess you could ask your Kaizer Chiefs friends that these games are not a given. And you come into these ones and you think that you're going to win because, of course, on paper, Orlando Pirates should win this game. But these games are not played on paper. So I ought to sit here, as well as you, after Orlando Pirates have given that display that they did in this game, and give them congratulations that, games of football can go anywhere. And I certainly thought so, and I'll get into that in just a bit. I thought it was going to go a direction which I didn't want it to take. But they can go that direction where, you are the sort of bigger side, you are the bigger team, you are the better team with the better players, with the better money, with the better stadium, better fans, all of that. And you go into these games and you think you're going to sort of run riot. But Hungry Lions could show up in this game and cause an upset, cause the night to be longer than it ought to be. And, you and I know that because we played Jwaneng FC at Orlando Stadium. And we know that these nights can go on for longer than we anticipate. And they can end in an upset, right? But when that doesn't happen, when Pirates do the mandate, when they carry out the objective, and they do it with so much grace and, good execution like they did today, we ought not to sit here and say, of course they should have done that. We must sit here and say, well done, boys. You guys have done what we expected of you, and on to the next one. And that's what I'm doing. I'm here to just say, well done, you Buccaneers, you bloody, mighty man in black that I love so much, for carrying out that objective the way that you did. And now we march on to the next round. And, these sort of qualifications into the quarterfinals and then the semi-final and the final. And we know this again because you and I sat here in this table last season and we spoke about this. We spoke about how, progressing in the Nedbank Cup can make us, as Orlando Pirates fans, almost forget what is happening in the league. And it just feels like that today. If you're going to be mad at me for saying that, cool, you can be mad at me. I give you that permission. I know very well that we're not doing great in the league by any stretch. But if we're going to do okay, as we are doing right now in the Nedbank Cup against the lower, because I think these are the teams that cause the upset. These are the games. I think the motivation in these games is hard to come by for the guys. And, they find the motivation, especially in the second half. And, if we're going to progress quite like this with 9 goals in these 2 games, then I'm more than happy to be optimistic as a Pirates fan. We can sit here at the end of the season and sort of talk about overall whether or not this season was great. But tonight, I just want to talk about the Nedbank Cup. And we're doing great. I just want to talk about Hungry Lions versus Orlando Pirates. And we did great. We won our game. We won what was in front of us. I certainly didn't think so for the first 60 minutes or so. I thought it was just one of those games where you don't want to sort of get into this illusion of control that we seem to have in the first half. There's this illusion of control that I thought was an illusion, like I already said, where you think you've got everything under wraps. You've scored the goal via an own goal, and you think, okay, we're 1-0 up, and we've got sort of like 70% odd possession, and we're gonna go on to win this one. But I didn't want to buy that. I'm a Orlando Pirates fan, And that means that I'm a skeptic, because I know that these games, when they are like this with the 1-0 up, sort of guys passing it around from side to side, from Monyani to Maela, it usually ends in them getting that late goal. I mean, we played Cape Town Spurs recently, and we know it very well. It can end like that. So I didn't want to, raise my sort of, I didn't want to get too excited, to have my excitement come crashing down on me after 120 minutes or so. But yeah, well, you know what, to sort of get into the game, I thought the starting 11, I was impressed. I thought that was fine. I was okay with the starting 11. I thought it was good strength, although I would have maybe thrown in someone like Kimvuidi in there. But I mean, it's no big deal. I would have definitely thrown in Ndlondlo in that game to get him, playing again and giving him those minutes again. But I'm not too mad with the starting 11. I think the starting 11 was fine. I personally, again, I wouldn't have played with two holding midfielders, sort of like those traditional number 6 guys who play there and sort of sit in that position. I wouldn't have gone that route. I definitely would have played a 4 with 1 pivot and then 2 number 8 and Mabasa up front, Saling and Mufukeng perfectly fine on the wings. I would have gone that way, but I was okay with the starting 11. And yeah, game starts, obviously Orlando Pirates is the better club, is the bigger club. It's got the better players. It's got the bigger budget. So of course we're gonna keep the possession quite like we did. We score via an own goal. Which, I think it was a bit against the run of play. And I'll tell you why before you chop my head off, because of course Pirates had the control. But I think, our tempo in the final third was the reason that we didn't score more goals than we could have. I think Hungry Lions was more than happy with the way that the game was going in the first half. I think they would have been more than happy. I think going into that dressing room, the talk in that dressing room for Hungry Lions would have been, you know what, you guys, we smell blood here. And you will have seen it if you watch the game. They were very quick. They've got very willing runners on both wings. I'm sorry, guys, I don't watch a lot of lower league football, so I don't know these guys by name. But the 2 guys that were playing on the wing in the first half, are very willing runners, and they had sort of a big imposing figure in central midfield. He was sort of the pivot, the one pivot. Well, they were playing a 4-4-1-1, but they had this one player who was playing sort of as the number 6, deeper than every one of them, and I thought he was quite good in that midfield in just distributing the ball. And they had a clear objective: win the ball back, which they did a lot. I thought we were poor in keeping the ball at times. Our centre backs, our central midfielders at times losing the ball in critical positions in that midfield, closer to our last third, which is our defensive third. We lost a few balls there, of which, when they pounced on them, they were clear in trying to find those wide men and attacking us. And I thought it was going to be one of those games where they'll get one of those chances, put them in the back of the net, or us concede a penalty, something silly like that, and then they get their goal. And then, then it's going to be a long, frustrating night with the fans sort of just getting agitated and nervy and getting a twitchy ass. I thought it was going to go that way. Certainly for 60 minutes of this game, I thought they gave Orlando Pirates a good game, Hungry Lions, and I've got to give them credit for that. But obviously things turn around after about an hour or so when they, foul Patrick Maswanganye as he's bearing down on goal to score. They obviously, one of their guys take Maswanganye out and he gets a red card, which then tilts the game. But you know what? 2 things can be true at once. That does tilt the game, but I also do think that Pirates improved the tempo of the game in the second half. Just generally, I think the tempo in the final third was higher when we got into that final third, and I think that's something that we would have spoken about in the dressing room. It would have been that you guys, you're controlling the game, but as soon as you get into that final third, you're still playing at the same pace. These guys are shifting and are happy to shift from side to side, closing those gaps, preventing us from getting those clean. So with the introduction of Kabelo Dlamini, I think there was an up in tempo, which I was really impressed to see, you know, just how he takes the ball and he collects it for that second goal, and he plays it same time to, you know, Tshogfatso Mabasa, who I'm going to get onto in a bit if you just hang tight, because I know you want to hear praise for Tshogfatso Mabasa, and rightfully so. But I was impressed with Kabelo Dlamini. I think that's something that I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that it's something he should improve on. I've said that so many times, and I mean, it's up to him. He's got the talent. He's got the, you know, the elegance again. But it's up to him whether or not he wants to take that next step of being, because look, you know, Patrick Maswanganyi now owns that number 10. And I think it's so sad for people like Dlamini, that quality of player, especially on the ball, to be sitting and sort of, you know, polishing that bench of Orlando Pirates with the quality that he's got on that left foot. I think it's just because his final product is just not great. And maybe speaking of final product, someone I want to slip in just quickly before I move on to the stuff that I actually want to talk about, because I don't want to point out a lot of negatives today, but someone whom I think, you know, he's got to do better with his final product is Thabiso Munyane. Look, the reason I will talk about Thabiso Munyane is because he's the one right back at Orlando Pirates, besides young upcoming Jabulani Mkone, who will see how his development is like. But I think Thabiso Munyane is the one guy who, at Orlando Pirates, it seems like he's going to be in that position for a long time. And if he's going to be playing that position for a long time for Orlando Pirates, if he's going to take that next step to be the best right back, because there's definitely Kulisho Mdau, who's clutching onto that title of best right back in the league, and he's not letting go of it anytime soon, unless Burnley finalize the rumors that we've been hearing of, that they're interested in Kulisho Mdau, and rightfully so. What a player. But if Thabiso Munyane is going to make that step and be that guy who's going to be in that conversation of best right back, I think it's going to be if he improves his final product. I think going forward, all of that, I mean, he can still improve in that regard. He's got a good he's got good turn of pace on him. He can leave a man in terms of pace, and I think he carries out the tactical work quite okay. You know, you'll see him come in field, Saleng go outfield. Sometimes he's the one outfield, Saleng come in field. So, you know, they've got that relationship which works and has worked, you know, for a while now. Even with Shandu, I think Shandu even has a good relationship with Saleng, but I think Munyane as well. But I think something that's very disappointing with Thabiso Munyane every time that I see him is that he just makes these funny, you know, weird decisions at times where, you know, he'll be released on that right flank and you're just hoping for a good ball to find on runners in the box, and then he'll go for goal from that right back position. I don't know if he's trying to squeeze it in. I've seen him score that kind of goal. I think it was against Amazulu last season when he scored that goal towards the end of the season. We won something like 4-0 or something like that. He scored a goal like that, but I think that was bad because now he takes every ball and he tries to shoot from that position. And I think, yeah, he's got to do better in terms of decision making in those positions. And every time that he tries to cross as well, I've seen him hoof. A lot of the time he hoofs it above the goal post, and he doesn't find anyone wearing black. And I think that's a problem. He's got to solve that, because those are critical positions when we want to create chances like that. And we need someone who's going to find us when we use our width and want to come back and get those tap-ins. Thabiso Munyane has got to do better in that regard. And yeah, so just coming back, you know, to Kabelo Dlamini with that final product again, he's another one who, if he can get his final product, I think he's quite an elegant player. He's just one of those players that football looks very simple to him. It just looks very simple. Him, you know, Lebohile Mofokeng, Maswanganyi, we've got a lot of talent. What an embarrassment of riches at Orlando Pirates with the talent that we've got. You know, to be able to bring on people like Kapinga is just testament to the embarrassment of riches that we've got at the club. But, I mean, sort of in that elk of embarrassment of riches, without moving away from that conversation, someone else, you guys will want me probably to say something about Tshegofatso Mabasa. Look, I was on Fulltime Footy. You guys can check them out. I'll link them in the description below. I had the privilege and the honor of being there to kind of give my 2 cents on everything Orlando Pirates. And yeah, just something that, Chef Intuli asked me. A friend of mine on Instagram, we do exchange a bit, and I appreciate that sort of thing. He just asked me something about, that number 9 position, and he said something about, Tshegofatso Mabasa being very good for us in that number 9 position. And I was happy to hop onto that bandwagon because, I just want to say right now, I want to come out swinging. I want to come out the gates, just sort of, swinging up punches and say that I think something I said on Fulltime Footy is that he's got the sweetest left foot, Tshegofatso Mabasa, at Orlando Pirates at the moment. I think there's no better finisher than him at the club. And I said this before these 2 goals, and these 2 goals were just, giving me that solid ground to stand on and go, you know what, I'm convinced that he's the best finisher at the club. I mean, the way that he takes that second goal is just fabulous. You rarely see someone finish like that in the PSL. And just overall game of Tshegofatso Mabasa, I'm impressed with. His link-up play, the way that he combines with... there was a period in this game where we were playing 4-4-2, where Saleng was on the left, Maswanganyi was on the right, and you had Mufukeng playing as sort of like 2 center forwards with Tshegofatso Mabasa. And the way that he could drop into that whole Mabasa, receive, lay off people, touch the ball, pass it on to someone. I think he's fantastic. I think he's fabulous. I think that number 9 jersey at Orlando Pirates, that's the kind of striker that we want. I'm someone who likes Zakhele Lebasa. I don't think he's the greatest finisher. I don't think he's the most elegant player, just like Saleng. I hold those same sentiments with Saleng. I don't think they're the most elegant players at Orlando Pirates. However, I think what they do is very effective for us. But if we can get someone who's just pure quality in that position like Tshegofatso Mabasa, then I'm happy to sacrifice, Lepasa, who I like, for Mabasa. And, I'll have Lepasa in our squad. I'll have Mahopa in our squad. I'll have even Erasmus in our squad. And I'll definitely have Witumele Radiopan next season in our squad. But, I think Tshegofatso Mabasa, for me personally, he's leading that pack in terms of quality. I think he's just very good. He's just a very good striker. Very good left foot. You guys will have seen his free kick as well. He takes both of these goals with quality and class, and I think going forward, let's be using Mabasa more in that position, not only for the goals. I think his link-up play is amazing as well. He can combine very well with our forwards going forward. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I've left out, except the fact that I don't think I left this out. I think I already said this, that I'm very impressed with how things are going in the Nedbank Cup. And, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going like this, you mighty Buccaneers. Let's march on. Let's go into the quarterfinal now, whoever we get, and let's sweep them aside as well. And then let's go to the semi-final. But I know the guys at the club are going to be saying one game at a time. But you know what? With us, the fans, we want the trophy. That's what we want. And we're going to say that unashamedly, because that's how we're going to salvage the season so far. Not to say that it'll become a better season, but at least it's going to become an enjoyable one for us. And so, yeah, international break now. A couple of the guys going to represent, the national team, not least of which Patrick Maswanganyi, deservedly. Listen, I've been on here and said that he hasn't quite played at the standards that I saw him play at the start of the season, and I still say that. I think there's a lot to expect from this guy. I think Patrick Maswanganyi, listen to me, I think as a number 10 in this country, he's just something else, and I think that has a lot to do with the development at Stars of Africa and then in Portugal, one of the most one of the best developing countries in the world, Portugal, with just the quality of player that they produce in that country. And I think there's a lot to come from Maswanganyi. But I'm happy for him that he's in the national team. And yeah, if he can just come back sort of healthy and fit, that would be great. But yeah, in the international break, looking forward to doing a couple of interesting things on this channel. But let me leave it here for now. Thank you for watching. Please do watch the next episode. And until then, up the mighty, happy people. Cheers. I know you're craving some more of Talking Buccaneers content. Well, I have great news for you. If you hit that subscribe button right now, you'll stay up to date with all our future content.